Okay, the last thing we have for this whole lesson on this page is the JavaScript for this button and also the exit button. And you'll see the exit button in a minute. Okay, and all this is going to go inside of the document.ready. Okay, let me explain some of the, I have battled with my, why use jQuery? Why not just use JavaScript? But jQuery has a lot of advantages to it. Number one, let me take you to a website here. I think they call them plugins, perhaps. jQuery. This is probably the best reason. Let's go right to their website. Oh, no, UI down here. jQueryui.com. See, plugins. There's all kinds of pre-written code. Let's try UI. Okay, there's all kinds of pre-written code that people have done, and so you can just download them, and it's all free to use. Here's a jQuery file upload, so you can add this code to your page on a button, and then it gives your page. It works with any server-side platform: PHP, Python, Ruby on Rails, Java, Node.js, all those, and so. This is the client-side code for that. And so you can just go in here and download it and then put it into your page and it automatically does that. Here's another one for slide effect. Okay, slides an element in and out of the viewport. Here's a bluff effect. Here are tabs. The type of tabs that when you hover over them, I don't think there are any up here. There you go. Tabs like this at the top. There's jQuery for that. The list is amazing. There's 55 pages full of stuff, and so you can go through and pick a bunch of things, and all it is functions like we're building right here. You put into your it tells you how to name everything, with either classes or with IDs, and then you go in here and put in your code. And it automatically works. It's really cool. And so it'll show you how to style it, how to code it and everything. And so that's the biggest plus to jQuery. It has all kinds of pre-written functions to it. The other thing is, we're going to see this in just a second. Let me paste some code in here so you can see it. Make sure I get this correct. Okay. Now, if you remember in live code, when you were messing with that, you have a button on a screen, and then you put code into that button that says on mouse up. Well, what you don't see as a coder in live code is there is a whole lot of code already written in the background. I guess you'd call it infrastructure. In other words, what tells the computer that you actually clicked? Something has to be listening. Your computer has to be listening for an event. And there's code that builds that. And with live code or any of these platforms that like Visual Basic and even Python and Ruby on Rails, all those things, they have infrastructure already in the background that's compiled with your application. The problem with JavaScript is we're not compiling anything. Your browser compiles it on the fly. And so you have to write everything, even your overhead infrastructure. So in JavaScript, this line right here, just those characters would take you about 5 lines of code, I'm guessing. Because first you have to create an event listener in live code, a whole nother function. But what we've done, while including in this, just including this into our web page. It doesn't take up that much space. It's not hard to load. It's pretty easy. All that infrastructure is already there and built for you. And so therefore you can get down to the business of just calling things. And obviously jQuery has its own lingo. It's a little different than JavaScript, just raw JavaScript. But all that has been built for you. And so it's actually a very good thing. So let's go in here. We're going to use the $sign and then parentheses to call an element on the page. And inside the parentheses, in quotations, we have the £sign and nav menu. This is the £sign signifies we're looking for a ID of an element, and then here's the name of the ID. And so when we go back over here to our HTML, let's go back up. Nav menu right here. And remember this nav menu, let me get this smaller so we can see it, is this whole div right here. All it has in it is the menu and this little symbol. It has 3 lines on it. Okay, so honestly I could click over here, I could click here, I could click right on the menu. Anywhere inside this div is what I'm looking for. Let's go back to JavaScript. And in jQuery, this would not work in JavaScript, but in jQuery it has the .click function. And of course, that's already written for you inside of the jQuery infrastructure. That's included in that jQuery.js file, or jQuery.min.js file that you included. So it's going to go in there, and it's automatically, as soon as the page loads, it's automatically looking for a function, event of a click on this div. Inside of there, you see here we have parentheses encapsulating the entire thing. So let me go down here, and here's how you would write that. It makes more sense to me to write it out the first time. So we have our £sign nav menu, yes, and then we have the .click, and that takes parentheses, and then we end everything with a semicolon. So this is the whole line, right? Just like all of this stuff. Now inside of the parentheses we put a function, and you remember a function is the word function. We're not giving it a name this time, we're just going to put parentheses because it's going to be implicated or whatever, that self-running. And we have brackets. Our code for the function goes inside the brackets. And so in order to enter the code, I just push enter and I get, a place to put my code. And so you see how that gave this down here. Alright, so now we want to have 2 different functions. Number 1 is this, what I want to do. First thing I want to do is bring in this menu underscore background. Let's go back to our HTML and go look at that. Here it is. Menu underscore background. Now, we have 3 things for menu. First, we have this menu underscore background. We have nav menu, and we have the nav. If you go to the main.js and we go up to our nav stuff, let's see here. Background, visibility is hidden. I can't see the background by default. Menu is inside that, so we'll keep going down. And we have the nav menu. It's display of none. So you can't see that off the start. All we can see is the nav. It has a display of block. Well, as we got the screen smaller, we swapped these. This turned to none, and this one up here turned to display, or display a block. So now we're looking at this one. Do you see? But our menu underscore background is still visibility hidden. So let's go over here to main.js, and what we're going to do is call that menu background dot CSS. So I want to alter the CSS of that background, a menu underscore background. And the CSS function has parentheses, and then you end it with a semicolon. And inside, you're going to, I'm going to get rid of this. Inside of the parentheses, you have two different parameters. Number one is what do you want to change, and then what do you want it to say now. All right, so we want to change the visibility of menu underscore background. By default, it was hidden. We want to change it to visible. Okay, so let's go over here. We're going to go into the CSS. We're going to change the visibility to visible. The next function we're going to do is, actually what we'll do is we'll exit out of this one for a minute and just see what happens. Okay, so I refreshed the page. Now that JavaScript is loaded in my browser. When I click here, it made my menu.background and everything inside of it visible. Obviously, I haven't given any code to the exit button, so I can't exit out of it. I'm kind of stuck here. So I'm going to refresh again, bring everything back to normal. Now, the other thing I want to do, I want to blur everything else out. I want to blur everything else out. And the way I'm going to do that is I am going to put in this code again. Now it says screen, the ID of screen. So let's go back and look what we got for ID of screen. That's a good question. Where is the ID of screen? I think I might have deleted that. Ah, right here. The screen. Okay, so the whole big thing. We're going to go CSS. And you see here how we have the parentheses just like we did up here. But I want to give several different lines, and use commas for the different lines. So we put brackets inside of that. And then we entered out so we can have these all down through. You can have them all in one line, just like we did up here. No, you can't. I'm sorry. With the brackets, it takes just a little bit different syntax. We put what we want to change, and then we put the colon, and then we put what we want it to say. Okay? And then comma for the next line. And the reason we have all these, you notice they're all filters and they all say the same thing. But again, you have the WebKit for Google Chrome. We have Mozilla for the Mozilla Firefox. We have Opera. We have Internet Explorer, and then we have the default filter. And what it's going to do is blur everything with a, you understand what blur, like a Gaussian blur from paint.net, gives everything a 1 pixel blur. So it just blurs everything out just a little bit. So let's see what happens when we include that. So when I click on the nav menu, it's going to do that. Okay, you see how everything in the background is slightly blurred, and the menu here is in front of us to see. Now the other thing is a problem here. Our menu down here is still not blurred out. It's on top because I have a z-index of 1000 on this thing. So let's play around. I never thought about this until now. So let's go ahead and give this menu.background, change it a little bit. I hope this works. I hate doing things on the video I haven't tried yet. So we're going to do just like we did before. And here we're going to change this syntax to like that, comma, And let's give this a Z index of 1001. I don't know if this will work. Let's try it. Yes. Now this is blurred out as well. So it just brought this out in front of that one. The footer has 1000. This one has 1001. All right. So that gives us the ability to click on this and bring out our menu right there. Good. We'll leave it at that.